discussion for today. Let's have a prayer muna.
That I am, all that I have, I lay them down before you, oh Lord, and all my regrets and all my acclaim, the joy and the pain, I'm making them yours.
Things in the past, things yet unseen, wishes and dreams that are yet to come true. All of my hopes, all of my plans, my heart and my hands are lifted to you.
Lord, I offer my life to you. Everything I've been through, use it for your glory. And Lord, I offer my days to you, lifting my praise to you as a pleasing sacrifice. Lord, I offer you my life. That I am, that I have, I lay them down before you, oh Lord, and all my regrets, all my acclaim, the joy and the pain, I'm making them yours. Things in the past, things yet unseen, wishes and dreams that are yet to come true. All of my hopes, all of my plans, my heart and my hands are lifted to you. Lord, I offer my life to you. Everything I've been through, use it for your glory. And Lord, I offer my days to you, lifting my praise to you as a pleasing sacrifice. Lord, I offer you my, Lord, I offer my life to you. Everything I've been through, use it for your glory. And Lord, I offer my days to you, lifting my praise to you
Ayan, so good evening sa inyong lahat. So first of all, I would like to thank sa pag-attend nyo dito sa online class. So kahit pa paano is para makahabol tayo sa ating mga i-discuss. So for this evening, I'm going to finish the discussion on chapter 1. Yung chapter 1 kasi basic concepts in sampling, napakahaba niya kasi. And kailangan natin siyang alamin yung mga different concepts in sampling para makausad tayo sa mga susunod pang chapters. Okay, so good morning to all of you. So for today, I'm going to discuss the chapter 1, so the introduction and sampling theory. So but before that, let's tackle on the brief history of survey research. So introduction, conducting surveys seems simple enough as people questions, record their answers, and report the results. Even Roman emperors pulled their citizens in ancient times. The modern survey depends on 4 scientific leaps made over the last 200 years. Without these innovations, market research as we know it would not exist. So dati pa man, nagsisurvey na. Let's say for example, nung sa Roman ancient times, ginagamit nila yung surveys para malaman nila yung living conditions ng mga mamamayan and also the economic status of that specific empire. So respondents can be trusted. Rulers have used census surveys of the population for thousands of years. So pag sinabi natin census surveys, ito you are going to, this is the pooling of the population. So meaning, you're going to survey the entire population. Ganun po yung census. Diba dito sa Pilipinas, nagsicensus tayo every 10 years. So during the Middle Ages, respondents to such survey typically consisted of authorities such as the clergy or nobles who reported the numbers and living conditions of their parishioners or serfs. So the rulers mistrusted the common person to speak for him or especially herself. So in the 80s, Fabian socialists and Karl Marx relied on key informants, factory owners, or trusted socialists for information on working conditions of the poor. So usually kasi yung mga respondents dyan, yung mga trusted socialists and also yung factory owners kasi nga they are the key formats kasi nga sila yung may mga empleyado. Let's say for example, kapag factory owners ka, of course, may mga empleyado ka dyan. If noong Middle Ages, kung gusto mong malaman yung living conditions ng or in the 1800s, living conditions ng mga empleyado mo, something like that. So, isa-survey mo yung mga empleyado mo. But, of course, meron doong, di ba kasabi ko, dapat may ethical consideration. Magpapaalam din muna kayo doon sa owner ng factory. So, a major revolution occurred when researchers asked factory workers and slum dwellers to report on their working and living conditions. So, ayun, so, yung mga factory workers, inaas sila ng researchers para malaman nila or makapag-report about sa working and living conditions, kung maganda ba yung pakikitungo sa kanila ng factory owner and of course kung maganda ba yung kabuhayan nila. So Henry Mayhew, a Scottish philosopher and social reformer, conducted sophisticated surveys of living conditions in Edinburgh. So etong Edinburgh, lugar yan sa may UK. So in the early 19th century, it asked ordinary people to report on their situation. So the switch to respondent-based data removed major biases that result when we ask key informants to speak for a group. So obviously, a factory owner or manager might supply inaccurate information on wages and working conditions. Ayun nga lang, di ba sabi ko kanina, yung mga key informants ay yung mga factory owner or let's say yung manager. Ayun nga lang, inaccurate information kasi yung mga isasagot ng, let's say, factory owner or manager kapag tinanong mo siya about doon sa working conditions or living conditions ng kanyang kanyang mga tauhan. Kasi nga, let's say for example, in reality naman talaga, so alam nga naman, ang target respondents mo yung mga factory workers, pero ang tinanong mo yung factory owner, of course, bias talaga. Di ba bias? Bias talaga iyon kasi nga, of course, papagandahin yung imahe ng factory owner yung kanyang sarili or ng manager yung kanyang sarili, di ba? So this is not to say that modern respondents are always completely truthful. Social desirability bias, the wish not to reveal troubling opinions or behavior remains an important problem for modern surveys. So small random samples are accurate. So the social reformist surveys undertaken by the Victorians typically interviewed 10,000 to 20,000 individuals to ensure representations. So statisticians have since demonstrated that it is unnecessary to sample 20,000 people to produce an unbiased idea of their economic situation or opinion. So today, it is common for surveys to be quite accurate with samples of 600 for a national poll in Canada. 1,000 to 1,600 respondents is a common sample size. So it is faster and less expensive to use a smaller sample. So ang sinasabi lang naman dito, small random samples are accurate. So you do not need very large samples para masabi mo na yung results doon sa specific statistical inference na i-conduct mo ay accurate. So small random samples are accurate. Actually ngayon sa Canada kasi, 'di ba, let's say for example, national election, usually yung mga national poll diyan sa Canada, ang respondents sila is 1,000 to 1,600. So ayun na 'yon, sa kabuuan na 'yon. Kasi nga maraming state sa Canada or madaming nahati kasi siya sa state or something like na parang commune yung Canada. So, but in overall, in national poll, let's say for example, preliminary survey, so 1,000 to 1,600 respondents lang yung kanilang kinukuha. But unlike here in the Philippines, ano yung kinukuha nila here in the Philippines? So, kinukuha nila yung sa Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, and NCR. Diba? So, eto sinasabing 10,000 to 20,000, ito ay sobrang taas na. Kasi nga, di ba, in statistical theory, so how many respondents ba ang kailangan if you have an infinite population correction with 95% confidence level and 5% margin of error? Di ba gumagamit tayo doon ng Cochrane sample size determination for infinite population correction. By, yung formula na yon is derived using the strong law of large numbers. So ilan nga ulit yon? If you don't know the population, if the population is infinite, ilan yung recommended natin? Anyone? Hello guys. Applied math. Ilan po yung recommended sample size natin? Cochrane sample size determination for infinite population correction. So ilan? Di ba 385? So 385 yung ating recommended. So ayun yung ayun ang ginagamit ng Pulse Asia sa pagsisurvey. Di ba nga next year, magkakaroon na ng presidential, vice presidential, senatorial, kaek-ekan ng mga election na yan. Of course, yung Pulse Asia, magkakaroon niya ng preliminary surveys. Di ba? Ilang beses sila nagpe-preliminary survey. So, ang ginagawa ng Pulse Asia, kumukuha sa Luzon na 385, sa Visayas 385, sa Mindanao 385, and then sa NCR 385. Sineseparate nila yung NCR kasi sa NCR populous. So, yung ganun yung ginagawa ng national poll dito sa Pilipinas. So, role. So medical researchers create careful experiments to ensure that only the intervention influences the test substance or subjects. So in social science, such control is not possible. So ayun, so as you have noticed, kapag may experiment ka talaga, may makikita ka dyan ng control group. Kasi nga, pwede mong makontrol yung mga variables. Non. So in experiment lang. But in social sciences, hindi pwede yon. So such control is not possible. So many uncontrollable factors influence market research studies. So pag sinabi nating market research, ito yung, let's say for example, magpapasurvey ka sa mga questionnaire about let's say doon sa taste, kunyari nagpa-pre-taste ka, something like that, and then may questionnaire ka, and then papasagutan nila ng mga consumers doon sa isang, let's say, specific store. So, ganun po yung sa market research. So, multivariate statistical analysis offers researchers powerful methods to isolate and identify relationships within the data collected. So, these modern analysis methods identify key relationships within social and economic data and enhance the ability of the modern pool to support inferences about the population. So, one example of statistical control occurs when we compare the opinions of men and women. So, ayon. So, in statistics, there are lots of statistical analysis. So, kilala dito to determine or to identify the relationship, yung mga Pearson R correlation, Spearman, and something like that. Yung mga bivariate. But how if you have a multivariate data? Let's say, for example, opinion ng men and women. So, how do you measure yung opinion ng men and women? Of course, gagamit ka dito ng questionnaire. And then, yung mga opinion na yon, of course, Likert scale yan, opinion, kung agree, something like that, ganun yung scaling yan. So, do you think that Pearson correlation or something like Spearman is enough to find the relationship ng mga yan? Of course not. So, you will be having a multivariate data. So, ang specific statistical analysis ay under dapat ng multivariate statistical analysis. At itong multivariate statistical analysis, ituturo yan sa inyo next semester. Meron kayong subject niyan, applied multivariate analysis. Good luck. So, logistical developments. Even with the advances noted above, the modern survey required one final innovation. So in the mid-1930s, communication networks rapidly expanded throughout North America. So air traveler greatly enhanced postal networks and the telephone became a common household appliance. So these developments allowed pollsters such as George Gallup to contact large sets of the population. So ayun, di ba nga, na-invento yung telephone. So actually, yung telephone, nakakatulong din yan sa pag-survey. Of course, ayun kasi ginagamit dati if you have a large set of population. If you have a large set of population na gusto mong i-survey, let's say for example, ganyan, yung iba gumagamit talaga dyan ng telephone. Kaya nga lang, ang problema kapag gumamit ka ng telephone is that hindi accurate yung information. And then at the same time, hindi maganda yung magiging resulta kasi nga ang tendency yung mga respondents mo, hindi nila masasagot yung ibang tanong mo. Unlike kapag personal talaga or face-to-face. Pero kasi ang problema kapag gano'n naman, minsan nililimit na lang nila yung respondents and then minsan minimit nila. Pero kapag gumamit ka talaga ng telephone lang, hindi nagiging maganda yung results kasi nga iba hindi talaga binibigyan ng pansin or sinasagutan ng tama yung tanong na binibigay mo. Pero kapag gumamit ka naman ng telephone, mas mapapamura ka, and then at the same time, walang travel, di ba? Wala kang budget for travel. So, the future, new techniques are emerging in survey research. So, the internet has become a powerful method of gathering information from consumers, voice recognition, software allow business to offer rewards to consumer who call in to response to surveys throughout the day. So, ayun nga. So, in survey research kasi, let's say for example, sa ang target respondents, may mga consumers, di ba nga, paano ka nag-data gathering procedures sa consumers? Using the internet sa panahon ngayon, di ba? Usually, may mga voice recognition or software or something like na, di ba ngayon, patok yung Google Forms. So, the applications of survey research will continue to change in step with communication networks. So, consumers are becoming resistant to cold calls in the evening as telemarketing increases its pressure on the public. So, researchers now sample respondents from company databases and survey information is collected in exchange for rewards or even cash payments. Market research and opinion polling will survive. Too many managers need the information. Innovations will continue to modify the methods. So, but all changes will involve some adjustment to the four basic innovations that created the modern survey. So, ayun nga lang, nagkakaiba-iba yung survey sa paglipas ng panahon talaga. So examples of surveys in the Philippines. So nahati yan, household-based surveys or the industrial-based surveys. Unahin muna natin yung mga household-based surveys. Etong mga to ay basit doon sa Philippine Statistical Authority or sa PSA. So agricultural labor survey, annual poverty and health survey, family income and expenditure survey, family planning survey, farm prices survey, functional literacy education and mass media survey, household energy consumption survey, household survey on domestic visitors, labor force survey, maternal and child health survey, national demographic and health survey, palay and corn production survey, quarterly inland municipal fisheries survey, survey on children, survey commercial livestock and poultry survey, dairy production survey, input-output survey of Philippine business and industry, integrated survey on labor and employment, labor turnover survey, monthly integrated survey of selected industries, occupational wages survey, producer price survey, for the some survey, so quarterly municipal fisheries survey, retail price survey, survey on slaughterhouses and poultry dressing, energy consumption of survey. So ayun maganda kapag makikita nyo naman to sa PSA website. So ayun maganda, meron ng data sa PSA if we're going to conduct a research or thesis, something like that. Okay, let's move on data collection methods. So data collection methods. So censuses, population or housing. So ang census kasi, hindi lang naman yung pang population lang, hindi lang yan para sa mga tao. Pwede rin naman yan sa population, sa housing, establishment, ilan ba yung mga establishments, sa agriculture, sa fisheries, or it could be a community-based or local census. So sample surveys, ang kaibahan ng census sa sample survey is that you are asking people or giving questionnaire doon sa samples. Ganon kapag sample survey. Sa administrative sources, usually yung mga registers, local government units, administrative or reporting systems. Actually, ito ay field experiments or observational studies. So I have here an example. Familiar naman kayo sa GNED-3. So sa types of reasoning. So let's say for example, ito muna. So statement 1, all people, students are intelligent. So ibig sabihin, sa statement 1, lahat ng Pilipino daw ay matatalino. Statement 2, Pedro is a Filipino student. Conclusion, Pedro is intelligent. So ganun kapag deductive reasoning. Pero kapag inductive reasoning, statement 1, Pedro is a Filipino student. Statement 2, Pedro is intelligent. Conclusion, all Filipino students are intelligent. So sometimes yung conclusion talaga dito kapag kasi you are giving a hypothesis dito na usually na false kasi kapag inductive reasoning. So ayun yung kaibahan nito kasi nga let's say for example, anong relationship niyan sa survey? Ang relationship niyan is that kunyari dito sa statement 1, all Filipinos, so lahatan na, tapos nag-ano ka ng isa lang na tao, and then ibig sabihin yung tao, conclusion mo yung tao, isang tao lang. Pero dito kapag sa inductive reasoning na example, so dito isang tao yung tinutukoy, tapos dito isang tao din tinutukoy, tapos bigla ka nang conclude na lahat. So do you think na true yung magiging sagot mo kapag isang tao lang yung pinagbasihan mo and then ang conclusion mo lahat? So hindi yun maganda. And then I have here the process of inferential statistics. So I have here the universe or the population. And of course, to get samples from your universe or population, you're going to use sampling process or appropriate sampling process or sampling technique to get sample. And then that sample will produce a sample data kapag nag-data gathering procedure ka na. And then that sample data will be generating doon sa ating computer for statistical analysis. So whatever your conclusions doon sa ating statistical analysis, whatever the results on your statistical analysis will generalize or infer etong universe or populations. Kasi nga you are creating models there or statistical or inferential statistics. But of course, in conducting statistical inference, it's always subject to uncertainty. So it's always subject to uncertainty. So that's why we are finding, let's say, yung best fit ng specific model na yon. So to minimize such errors. So why do we use samples? So of course, reduce cost para ma-reduce yung cost natin. Let's say for example, you're going to survey all CVSU students. Let's say census na iyo, kunyari ang target mo, ang universe mo or population CVSU students. So kung census ang gagamitin mo, ano mangyayari? Sobrang mahal. Dapat mayaman ka. Malaki sobra ang budget mo. Kasi sa pag-imprint na pa lang ng questionnaire, ngarag ka na. And then, ano nga ba yun? Census. Tapos, let's say, ang study mo is awareness of HIV ng CVSU students. Kung lahat ng CVSU students, edi ngarag ka nga, dapat mayaman ka. And at the same time, kaya mo ba na mag-census sa lahat ng CVSU students? However, pero kapag gumamit ka naman ng samples, gumamit ka ng sampling technique, appropriate sampling technique, ay kinumpit mo muna yung respondents mo, gumamit ka ng sampling process or sampling technique, kahit paano yung samples na makukuha mo, pag ayun yung gamiting respondents, mare-reduce yung cost mo. Kasi nga, magiging onti na lang yung pag-iimprenta ng questionnaire. And also greater speed or timeliness. Kung CVSU students and then census ang gagamitin mo, Diyos ko day, abutin ka niya ng 2 years, di ka patapos. So pero however, kung samples naman, okay na siguro yung 1 year or let's say 1 semester. So that's why do we use samples? Greater speed or timeliness. And of course, greater scope. Bakit greater scope kapag samples? Kasi nga, kung census lang, aanuhin mo, edi hayaan mo lang yung lahat ng CVSU students sa magsagutan ng questionnaire. However, kapag gumamit ka ng samples, mas onti yung respondents, kahit paano, pwede kang magtanong ng additional information about doon sa instrument, mga follow-up questions. Kaya siya greater scope. And also convenience, necessity, and ethical considerations. Ethical considerations in a way na, let's say for example, ayun nga, of course, kailangan mo muna magpaalam. Magpaalam kang mag-survey doon sa mga estudyante. And then, let's say for example, magsisurvey ka sa isang barangay. So, of course, gagawa ka ng formal letter doon sa barangay captain or doon sa barangay na gagamitin mo yung mga nakatira doon bilang iyong respondents. Sampling. This is the process of selecting a sample. So, process of selecting a sample, sampling. So there are 2 types of sampling. First is the non-probability sampling. Pag sinabing non-probability sampling, so methods where the elements of the sample are taken without the use of kukunin mo yung respondents base lang sa iyong kagustuhan. And then probability sampling, methods where some of the random selection is used. So ayun nga, kapag probability sampling, it involves the randomization mechanism. So difference of non-probability sample and probability sample. Pag non-probability sample, samples are obtained haphazardly, selected purposefully, or as taken as volunteers. So Ito yung ano, let's say for example, gusto ko, siya ay may characteristics na dapat siya yung sasagot ng survey ko. Ganon. Gusto ko, let's say for example, 100 lang na students ang survey. Or kung sino na lang siguro yung free or kung sino na lang yung mag-volunteer sa survey ko, ayun na lang yung aking it's a survey. And then the probabilities of selections are unknown. So ano yung probabilities niya? May magre-recite po, yung naka-open ng mic. Okay, so back to non-probability sample. The probabilities of selections are unknown. So yung probabilities niyan ng selections are unknown kasi nga kinuha mo lang yung respondents mo base sa iyong kagustuhan kung sino lang yung nag-volunteer. So dito sa non-probability samples, hindi ka dito nag-involve ng let's say computation or proper na pagkuha ng respondents. They should not be used for statistical inference. Dapat hindi talaga to ginagamit. Kapag may non-probability sample ka, dapat hindi mo to ginagamit for inferential statistics, for statistical inference. Dapat yung ginagamit kapag let's say may hypothesis testing, may hypothesis ka and then you want to determine the significant difference, significant relationship and so on ng let's say 2 or more variables. So dapat di siya ginagamit kasi ang tendency kapag ginamit mo siya, ayun ay hindi nagiging makatotohanan talaga yung results. Hindi nagiging maganda yung results as I have observed for many times. But for kapag wala ka naman talagang choice na gumamit ka talaga ng non-probability samples to conduct statistical inference, lalo na ngayong pandemic, mahirap talagang mag-survey, di ba? So, ayun. Pero kasi kapag gumamit ka ng statistical inference, ng non-probability sample sa statistical inference, the results will not generalize doon sa population mo. But the results will describe only do sa samples mo lang, probability samples mo lang. Let's say for example, 1,000 yung population mo and then 100 probabilities na population mo. But yung results mo, magdi-describe lang doon sa 100 na non-probability samples. So they result from the use of judgment sampling, accidental sampling, purposive sampling, and the like. However, pag sinabi naman na probability sample, samples are obtained using some objective chance mechanism thus involving randomization. So it involves randomization kapag probability sample. So kaya nga tinatawag tong probability sample as unbiased samples. Pero ito namang non-probability samples, ito ay biased samples. So kapag probability sample, the probabilities of selections are known, of course, kasi nga it involves randomization. If the probability so therefore, meron ka ditong so they allow drawing of valid generalizations about the universe or the population. Of course, pwede ka na nga, kapag probability sample ang ginamit mo, you could, your generalizations or conclusions or inferences regarding the population or universe will be valid. Kaya nga ginagamit ito sa research kapag probability sample. Kasi nga kapag gumamit ka ng non-probability sample at gusto mong i-publish, ay Diyos ko, wag ka nang umasa. Kasi nga question na talaga yan kapag gumamit ka ng non-probability sample at gusto mong i-publish. Kapag probability sample, they require the use of complete listing of the elements of the universe called the sampling frame. So, yung sampling frame, ito yung complete na listahan ng universe or ng population. So, kailangan yan sa probability sample. Kapag wala kang sampling frame, hindi ka makakapag-probability sample. Kailangan may sampling frame ka. Kasi let's say, for example, nagkaroon ka ng randomization, kunyari sa sampling frame, may 1,000 na tao na nakalista doon, and then, let's say nag-involves, let's say simple random sampling gagamitin mo. Let's say ang lumabas ay 2, edi pang second daw sa list. So, pag may list ka, pag may sampling frame ka, pwede. Pero kapag wala kang sampling frame, o saan tayo kukuha ng pangalawa sa list? Di ba wala? So, dapat laging may sampling frame kung gusto mong probability sample ang iyong respondents or samples na kukunin. So they are generally referred to as random samples kasi nga it involves the randomization mechanism. So requirements of a good sample. So a good sample is a representative of the population. Of course, kasi nga yung sample is a representative or subset ng populations. In the sense that characteristics of interest in the population can be estimated from the sample with known degree of accuracy. So ito yung kino-consider lagi natin yung accuracy, yung degree na accuracy if we are, this is the requirement for a good sample. Kasi nga, let's say for example, may isang characteristic ng population, characteristic of interest yung isang populations. Of course, para makuha mo rin yung characteristic na sample na kukunin mo, so what you're going to do is estimation. Mag-estimate ka ngayon sa sample, di ba? With known degree of accuracy. So here's the sampling procedure. So non-probability sampling and then probability sampling. So non-probability sampling, convenience, judgment or purposive, the quota or the proportional sampling, and then the snowball sampling. Pag probability sampling, dito tayo magpo-focus kasi ito ay sampling theory. So simple, random sampling, systematic, stratified cluster, and the multi-stage sampling. So pag multi-stage sampling, this is a complex survey design kapag multi-stage sampling. This is just a combination of 2 or more phases of this probability sampling, itong mga to. Pero may tinatawag pa tayo dyan na proportional to size sampling. So, advantages of conducting a sample surveys. So, una, uniqueness. Data not available from other source. Of course, unique naman talaga yung makukuha mong data. Kasi nga, ayun ay primary data. Ikaw ay yung first-hand use. So, that's why unique yung data na makukuha mo. Kaya uniqueness. Standardized measurement, systematic collection of data in a structured formats. Of course, standardized measurement. Kasi nga, ikaw mismo yung nag-design ng questionnaire in a structured format. Systematic yung pagkuha mo ng data, of course, kasi nga gumagamit ka dito ng probability samples. So, unbiased estimates. So, selection of sample based on probability distribution. So, of course, kapag magsa-survey ka, let's say, kukuha ka ng sample survey, of course, di ba, kapag sample survey, pooling yon ng samples. So therefore, it involves the, let's say, estimation, di ba? It involves the estimation. So kaya dito, unbiased estimates yung makukuha nyo kapag sample surveys. If planned well, cost-effective data collection approach. So cost-effective data. So meaning, ayun nga, marireduce yung cost mo. Kaya cost-effective data yung makukuha mo kapag nag-conduct ka ng sample survey method. So type of survey design, so I'm not going to elaborate this, pero may tinatawag tayong cross-sectional surveys. So data are collected at a point of time. Ayun. And then may longitudinal surveys na nahati siya sa trends. Surveys of sample population at different points in time, and then cohort, study of same population each time over a period, and then panel, study of same sample of respondents at various times. At various time points. So I have here the illustration of the survey planning, survey operation, and survey evaluation. Actually, itong course na to is sampling theory lang. So dapat theoretical talaga yung pagturo dito. So but since kayo ay undergrad, I don't know bakit talaga sampling theory ang nilagay doon. Pwede naman sigurong survey design or survey operation. Kailangan nyo rin kasi makita yung beauty ng sampling. Paano ba makapag-design ng survey? Ano ba talaga yung operations when dealing with survey? So, ito yung mga yon: survey planning, survey operation, and survey evaluation. So, I have here the survey operation. Actually, yung survey design and survey operation, actually, they are separate courses talaga. So, separate courses silang tinuturo. So, creation of the sampling frame. Of course, creation ng sampling frame, dapat may listahan ka. Usually, from the available census data must be in digitized format. So, sampling, implementation of sampling strategy using the sampling frame constructed. So, data collection, there should be training of enumerators and supervisors on basic concepts and surveying procedures before data collections. So, ayun, di ba yung mga taga-PSA, di ba, let's say, nikakontak ka sila ng census every 10 years, di ba, kung pupunta kayo, kung naranasan nyo, may nagbahay-bahay sa inyo last year, ay yung mga enumerators. So, dapat yung mga enumerators or yung supervisors, so dapat tinitrain talaga yan about sa survey. Supervisors are expected to do spot checks and other types of verification. Etong supervisors, usually nasa office na naman to sa PSA, sila yung mga nag-check or nagbe-verify ng mga, let's say, ng questionnaire and then, or kaya naman kapag sa operation ng survey. So, data preparation, questionnaires are manually edited and verified by supervisors. Yung supervisors talaga yung nag-edit at nag-verify ng questionnaires. So, usually kasi, usually nagpapadesign tayo ng questionnaire. So, ang tawag doon yung mga survey statistician ang gumagawa nun. So, data entry or creation of basic data file. So, in many countries, questionnaires are processed and keyed in at the provincial offices. So, they are then sent to the central office together with the electronic data file. Estimation and analysis. Validated data files are used for analysis. Of course, dapat validated dapat yung questionnaires mo, and then at the same time, kapag nagpa-survey ka na, of course, meron ka ng validated na data files. So, dummy statistical tables are populated and sent to subject matter specialists for discussion. Analytical reports are written. Of course, may reports naman talaga when you are dealing with the analysis. So, presentation and dissemination. Presentation materials are drafted using the analytical reports. Dissemination workshops, press release, or survey reports. So, survey evaluation. So, checking of survey outputs. So, statistical tables, analytical reports. So, review of the survey outputs, and then review of sampling errors and design effects of major variables. So, ayun nga, kapag survey talaga, usually ginagamit nila yung probability sampling kasi nga, it involves here, nire-review kasi nila yung sampling errors and then yung design effects. So, sampling errors, ito yung makukommit mo due to the error in estimation, di ba? So, sampling errors and itong design effects, matututunan nyo rin naman to of major variable. So, evaluation of feedback metadata. So, field supervisors, data processors, survey manager are convened to discuss the control of measurement error. So, dapat kasi nakokontrol natin yung measurement error. So, later, ituturo ko kung ano si measurement error. Okay, budget items for planning a survey. Yung survey talaga, magastos talaga yan. Magastos talaga. Dapat may budget ka kapag magsusurvey ka. So, staff time for planning the study and managing the various stages of the survey. Sample selection cost. Pag select pa lang ng sample mo, may gastos na doon, including staff's time and computing cost. Cost of designing. Magde-design ka pala ng questionnaire, of course, magastos na. And then pre-testing ng questionnaire, kasi pre-test mo pa yung questionnaire, gastos pa yon. And also yung survey operations. Yung pagtitrain pa sa mga enumerators and supervisors, gastos din yun. Field operations, yung pagta-travel per diem, incentives pa sa respondents kasi usually, binibigyan mo yung respondents mo ng incentives para naman kahit ganahan yung respondents na magsagot para makakuha ka ngayon ng accurate information doon sa respondents. Ayan, data processing expenses pa, data analysis expenses, and also yung pag-disseminate. So dissemination expenses, o di ba, sobrang gastos talaga kapag magpa-plan ka ng survey. So judging the quality of a survey. So survey non-response. So survey non-response often biases survey results because it makes the sample less representative of the population. So ayun nga, of course, bias naman talaga yung survey, yung results na makukuha natin sa survey kapag nakapag-commit tayo ng non-response error. So etong non-response error, ituturo ko yan mamaya kasi may dalawang type yan. Ito yung ito yung, let's say for example, mga hindi nagsagot sa doon sa item ng questionnaires. So because it makes the sample less representative of the population. So measurement error. Sa matay nakaka-commit ng measurement error. So eto mga non-sampling error to, non-sampling error tong measurement error. So data collection issues. Sa pag-collect pa lang ng data, may error na. Errors arising in questionnaire design. Sa design pa lang ng questionnaire, may error na. So survey operations, data processing and analysis, and then the sampling errors of major indicators. So etong sampling errors, nakaka-commit tayo niyan kapag mali yung pag-estimate natin. So I have here the illustration of total survey error. So the total survey error, this is the MSE, the mean square error. So there's a relationship between the sampling error, the non-sampling error, and the MSE. As you have noticed, there's a right triangle here. So this is 90 degrees. This is the hypotenuse, yung MSE. Ito naman talaga yung mas malaki dapat compared dito sa sampling error and the non-sampling error. So this MSE, or the total survey error, so we're going to apply the Pythagorean theorem for that. So this is the square of the MSE is equal to the sum of the square of the sampling error and the non-sampling error. So ganyan po yung relationship ni sampling error, non-sampling error, and then si total survey error. So let's take a look on the bullet. So meron tayong ganito. So let's say we set a capital P as our target parameter. So di ba kapag sinabing parameter, this is a numerical characteristic of the population. So, eto ngayon yung ina-estimate natin. Yung value na nakuha nating estimates, ayun po, yung tinatawag na estimates. And then, the variable itself is called the estimator. So, say number of cattle and then you are given 10 shots bullets to estimate it. So, dito muna tayo sa first one. So, yung target one, oh my gosh, dito tumama lahat. Dito tumama. As you have noticed, yung mga points or yung mga shots dito ay they are grouped, no, magkakalapit sila. So that's why they are precise. So they are precise but way of T bias. So pero malayo dito sa T. Of course, ito ay bias. So therefore, inaccurate yung target 1. How about this one, target 2? So as you have noticed, widely dispersed. So magkakalayo kasi yung mga shots, di ba? Yung mga red dots na ito, nagkakalayo. But some of the red dots ay medyo malapit dito, no, kagaya nito, di ba? Ayan. So therefore, at centered P, unbiased. So therefore, still inaccurate. Pero itong target 3, shots dispersed widely. Dispersed siya talaga. Therefore, not precise. And way of target bias, therefore inaccurate on both counts. So, inaccurate pa rin. Kasi, eto talaga yung accurate. Shots tightly grouped, precise. So, tightly grouped. They are compact, di ba? So, they are precise. Around this target 4. So, which is equivalent to T. Di ba? Equivalent to T. So, dito. So, therefore, very accurate. So, dapat sa sampling natin, dapat precise and accurate. So, error, accuracy, precision, bias concepts. Bullseye T, this is an actual value of the target parameter. So, of course, our target parameter or the parameter is always unknown. Kaya nga tayo nag-estimation. Kukuha tayo ng samples and then do the estimation para ma-estimate natin yung parameter. So T1, T2, T3, T4 were the actual bullseyes of the 4 different shooter gun pairs. Values observable or known. So unahin muna natin si target 1. So si target 1, eto di ba? Eto si target 1. So sa target 1, shots are tightly grouped and around target 1. So of course precise, but not accurate because target is far from T. Therefore bias. So therefore kapag kinuha mo yung difference ng target 1 and then ng T, di ba? Yung magnitude niyan ay bias. So shots very dispersed around T2. So this is the target 2. So not precise, although T sub 2 is equivalent to T. So nandito kasi usually sa may tumama dito sa sa may parang something na sa circle, no, sa ibang circle tumama. So therefore unbiased siya, but overall is still not accurate. That is precise and unbiased are required together to make shooter gun estimate accurate. So however, etong T3, target 3, this target 3 very dispersed around T3, therefore not precise. The center T3 is far from T. Yung center mas malayo sa T, no? Sa target 3. And inaccurate on both counts. So this worst case scenario. So last slide, ito yung last slide natin, ito. Ayan. Shots tightly grouped, so therefore precise, and then yung P4, di ba, equivalent doon sa T, sa ating target parameter, so unbiased, so therefore accurate. So I have here terminology. So population, the entire body of units of interest to decide markers in a situation. Di ba, may pagkakaiba, universe and population. Pag universe, ito talaga yung kabuuan. Pero kapag population, this is, ito yung body of units or kung ano lang yung interest natin. Kung sino yung interest natin. Let's say, for example, we're going to survey CBSU students, di ba? So, ayun yung population mo. Pero yung CBSU, Cavite State University, ayun yung iyong universe. So may tinatawag din tayong element or the sampling unit. So 1 unit from a population. So it could be houses or buildings, di ba? Building, houses, or establishment. So sampling, this is the selection of subset of the population. This is the process of getting a sample. Sampling frame, this is the listing of population from which a sample is chosen. A census, a polling of the entire population, and a survey is a polling of the sample. This is sample survey, di ba? A survey is conducted to find the average weight of cows in a region. So a list of all farms is available for the region and 50 farms are selected at random. So then the weight of each cow at the 50 selected farms is recorded. So what is the target population? Of course, the target population, all cows in the region. The sampling frame is the list of all farms. And then yung sampling unit natin, of course, yung farm. Kasi nga, there are 50 farms. And then, of course, yung observation unit natin is yung cow. Okay, so dito na tayo sa non-sampling errors. So non-sampling errors cover all errors other than those due to sampling a subset of the population. So in both surveys and censuses, it is quite useful to find non-sampling errors because their absence implies that the data collection process has been implemented and enumerated perfectly and completely free of measurement errors, inaccuracies in the recording of information from selected units. So ayun lang, ang sinasabi naman dito, mahirap talaga natin malaman kung nakakommit ba ng non-sampling error. Kasi at the same time, ina-assume kasi natin na yung survey mo, na in-implement mo at in-enumerate mo ay perfect. Perfect yung pag-survey mo. Kaya nga, mahirap nating ma-determine yung non-sampling error. And then at the same time, this is completely free of measurement of error. Kasi nga, let's say for example, yung pagre-record pala ng data, bakit? Binabantayan ba natin ng, let's say may nagbabantay ba kapag nag-survey kayo? May nagbabantay ba sa inyo kapag nakakommit kayo ng measurement error? Di ba wala naman? So that's why it's very difficult to determine kung nakakommit ka ba ng non-sampling error. Kasi nga ina-assume natin talaga na yung survey operations mo, yung pag-implement mo, yung pag-enumerate mo na yung survey ay perfect. So non-sampling errors are not all due to avoidable mistakes and or deficiencies. They can often occur because of decisions by the researchers to balance the need of good quality data with the need to obtain timely data at acceptable cost. So the problem then reduces to one of defining and minimizing errors associated with the data collection and data processing procedures. So there are types of non-sampling errors. Una, coverage or frame errors. Non-response error, measurement errors, the data handling errors. So note that the first more often applies to sample surveys. So ito talaga yung ginagamit sa sample surveys. However, itong last three na to, both surveys and censuses. Okay, so coverage or frame error. Ito kasi yung error na makukommit mo doon sa sampling frame, sa listahan. So in surveys, the sample is selected from a list called the sampling frame of all the population members. So an inadequate frame leads to coverage errors, often can have under coverage or missing elements. Let's say for example, 1,000 dapat yung nasa list, 1,000 nga, di ba? So paano kapag may missing element doon? Kunyari walang nakalagay sa pang number 2 sa list, pang number 5, pang 1982. So ayun po ay under coverage na. Paano kasi kapag ayun yung masaktuhan mo kapag gumamit ka ng probability sampling? Eh di ayun ay under coverage, di ba? Kasi nga may missing element ka. So therefore, makakommit ka ng coverage or frame errors. Kapag na-duplicate naman, ayan pa, over coverage ang tawag dyan. Let's say for example, magkaparehas lang yung nasa list ng number 2, number 3, number 5. O diba? So ayun ay over coverage. So dapat yung sampling frame dapat natin ay unique. Unique dapat. And also dapat updated yung ating sampling frame. So both lead to biased results. See below for an example. So I have here illustrations. Ito, this target population, this is the sampling frame population, and then the sample populations. So basahin niyo na lang yan. So sampling frame in administrative list, generally incomplete and out of date. So ayun nga, dapat kompleto talaga yung sa sampling frame and also dapat updated. Let's say for example, ang study mo is about COVID-19. Ayan, about COVID-19. And then yung target pong respondents ay mga senior citizen. So mga senior citizen, let's say for example sa isang lugar. Ayun. And then may listahan sila ng lahat ng senior citizens. Do you think updated yon? Of course hindi. Mahirap natin ma-update kasi nga ngayong pandemic. So ang tinutukoy lang, dapat updated lagi yung sampling frame. Kasi nga, how if kung napatapat ka doon na dapat respondents mo according to the randomization mechanism, ang respondents mo, let's say for example, si pang 30th na list. O, si pang 30th, paano yung kung tigok na siya? Paano yung kapag tigok na siya? Ayun ang sinasabi, dapat updated yung nasa list. So area samples. So select sample of areas. Primary Sampling Units or PSU. So eto, ituturo ko to sa inyo. Select sample of areas. So list enterprises within selected PSUs and select the sample from the list. So dual or multiple frames. So list frame often contains information about business size and activity, valuable for efficient sample design. So generally incomplete. So thus it lists units at the required level. So pag area frame is less efficient. less efficient, and in theory, it should be complete. So actually kasi kapag list frame, madali lang naman niya kasi nga mas onte yung nasa listahan. Pero however, kung area frame yan, susme, napakadami kasi nga pinoprovide neto yung listahan pertaining to the geographical location. That's why it's less efficient. And then dapat in theory, dapat complete talaga kapag area frame. So desirable frame properties, ayun nga, accurate location information, dapat accurate indication information. Let's say for example, Botanica list of voters. Tapos ikaw pala ay let's say for example sa town 1, ikaw ay Botanica doon. Pero lumipat ka ngayon ng town 3. Lumipat ka. So tapos hindi pala na-update yung sa sampling frame. Nandun ka pa rin sa town 1. So dapat and then yung location mo hindi pa rin nabago. So dapat accurate location information and then dapat up to date. So list of the appropriate elements, example enterprises or establishments. So dapat appropriate yung elements. So contains useful information for sampling. So example, type of activity for an establishment or size of the establishment. So I have here frame problems. Ayun nga, missing elements or non-coverage, duplicate listing, clusters, and blanks. So missing elements, pag nakakommit tayo ng missing elements, ang solution dito sa frame natin ay supplement stratum or linking. Meron ka mga groups na kino-consider dyan. And then also, kapag sa clusters naman, ituturo ko naman to yung mga to. So take all or select one and reweight or release a larger sample. So blanks and foreign elements and duplicate listing, kapag na-duplicate yung listahan, yung remedy dyan, weight inversely to number of listings, unique identification, or remove all duplicates from population. So minimizing frame errors. Paano ba natin mami-minimize yung frame errors? Let's say for example, pag under coverage. Di ba kapag under coverage, ito may mga missing elements. So consider redefining the population. So i-redefine mo ulit yung iyong population. The target population is simply considered as the population which can be accessed by the frame. Kapag duplicate naman, develop a system to identify the duplicate. Example, by using additional information on the recording unit. So both under and over coverage are minimized by using up-to-date frames. So mami-minimize talaga yung error ng both under coverage and duplicates or over coverage kapag updated talaga yung list natin. Example, in UK, di ba, perfect, United Kingdom. The postal code address file is updated every 3 months. O kayo na. And is hence often used by the Office of National Statistics or ONS. Okay, so non-response errors. Guys, tapusin ko lang to ha. 5 slides lang naman na. Kapag non-response error, ito na nga yun, nahati yan, unit non-response and item non-response. So pag unit non-response, failure to obtaining information from a pre-chosen sampling unit or population unit. So let's say for example, yung census ay about sa establishment. So kapag may hindi doon, pag may hindi ka nakakuha ng information sa either kung ilan man yon, isa or many na unit, of course, ayun yung non-response. Unit non-response. However, kapag item non-response naman, failure to get a response to a specific question or item in the data recording form. So eto ngayon yung makocommit mo kapag, let's say for example, nagpa-survey ka, gumamit ka ng questionnaire, and then some of the respondents, hindi nila sinagutan yung ibang item doon sa iyong questionnaire. Ayun po yung item non-response. Okay, ano naman po ang measurement error? So measurement errors are arise when the recorded response differs from the true value. So they can occur for a variety of reasons. Let's say for example, by respondents giving an incorrect answer. So let's say for example, ang study mo, ang target respondents mo ay households. But each household, dapat isa lang yung respondent. Dapat yung head of the household or usually naman yung father. So kapag ganon, kapag nagkamali ng or incorrect yung sagot ng isang respondent, ayun po ay measurement error. And then pwede naman na sa instrument or question error. So kapag nagka-error ka ngayon sa instrument or sa question error, so ayun ay measurement error pa rin. Or pwede naman sa interviewer error. So kasi may tendency na nagpa-survey ka na, binigyan mo ng questionnaire, and then at the same time, ini-interview mo. Ayun yung maganda. Yung ini-interview mo siya base doon sa iyong questionnaire. Ayun yung maganda kasi nga mas nagiging accurate ang sagot. And then pag nagkamali naman si interviewer, ayun po ay interviewer error. So ayun ay under ng measurement error. So further, errors may be greater for some subgroups of the population. Example, those less illiterate or those unwilling to cooperate. So ayun nga lang, yung iba ayaw talaga makipag-cooperate sa survey. But guys hindi nyo dapat pipilitin yung respondents nyo na magsagot ng questionnaire. So let's say for example, ayun nga gusto ko nga probability sample ang gagamitin ko, randomization. Pero yung tumama talaga sa randomization ay ayaw niya talaga magsagot. E di, huwag mo siyang pilitin. Do the randomization again. Ganun po. And then, less illiterate. So ayun nga, let's say for example nga, mga senior citizens or mga pangkaraniwang tao lang ang iyong respondents. Pero, ang sa questionnaire mo ay English. Pero dapat translate nyo yan. Ita-translate nyo yan, papacheck nyo sa Filipino critic. Kasi nga, not all Filipinos are literate talaga. Usually, kapag i-check mo yung literacy ng Pilipinas, mababa. So, reasons for respondent errors. Ano ba yung mga reason bakit nagkakakumit tayo ng respondent's error? So, respondent gives an incorrect answer. Kapag mali, yung nabigay na sagot ng respondents. Due to prestige or incompetence implication or pwede naman sensitive yung tanong. Of course, magsisinungaling na lang yung respondents or social undesirability of question. So, respondent misunderstand the requirements. Kapag hindi naintindihan ng respondents yung tanong or kaya naman na misunderstand niya yung tanong. Pwede naman lack of motivation to give an accurate answer. Ayun, kapag lack yung motivation mo, of course, yung respondents, inaccurate naman yung sagot niya doon. Lazy, of course, ito naman talaga usually na reason, tamad. Tinatamad ang respondents. So, gives an average answer. So, question requires memory or recall. So, ito rin, makakomit ka rin ng respondent error. Let's say, for example, yung question mo doon sa questionnaire, my God, kailangan pang isipin ng respondents or kaya may memory or recall pa from the previous na natutunan, ganyan. Talaga ng error doon. So, ayun ay respondent errors. And then, pwede naman proxy respondents are used, taking answer from someone other than the respondents. Let's say, for example, si teacher, siya dapat yung respondent mo, and then si teacher nagkakape. So, may proxy siya, pinasagutan niya sa co-faculty teacher. So, ayun po ay respondent error. Instrument errors. So, instrument error naman, makukomit mo yan kapag or question error doon sa instrument. So, kapag yung question is vague, unclear, ambiguous, or difficult to answer, the list of possible answers suggested in the recording instrument is incomplete. So, kapag incomplete yung list of possible answers. So, let's say, for example, gumamit ka ng close-ended questions. Tapos, ang sagot mo ay, let's say, wala doon sa close-ended questions. So, instrument error din yon. So, requested information assumes a framework unfamiliar to the respondents. Let's say, for example, yung framework na ginawa mo ay unfamiliar to respondents, ayun ay instrument or question error. So, the definitions used by the survey are different from those used by the respondents. For example, how many part-time employees do you have? So, usually, dapat kapag ang instrument mo dapat validated and reliable. Papa-validate mo yan sa, let's say, 5 experts and then papa-reliability mo yan sa statistician. Statistician kasi nakakaalam ng sa reliability. Iba-iba kasi ang sa reliability kasi nga nakadepende yan kung yes or no ba or something like na like Likert scale na 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 or 4, 3, 2, 1, ganun. Interviewer errors. Ito, na-discuss ko na kanina, yung interviewer error. So, ito yung mali error na nakocommit ng interviewer. So, different interviewers administer a survey in different ways kapag iba-iba yung ways ng mga interviewers. So, ayun nga, dapat kasi, let's say for example, yung interviewer, dapat, di ba marami kayong interviewer, dapat kasi iisa lang talaga kung yung way or yung paraan mo na pag-i-interview ng respondents. So differences occur in reactions of respondents to different interviewers. So example given to interviewers of their own sex or own ethnic groups. So paiba-iba yung reaction ng respondents to different interviewers. So let's say for example, si interviewer 1, in-interview si student 1, and then mga ilang araw naman si interviewer 5, in-interview naman si student 1, tapos nagkaiba ng reaction yung si student 1. So therefore, ayun ay interviewer error na mga considers. So, inadequate training of interviewers. Kapag hindi rin sapat yung training na interviewers, pag pasyunga-syunga yung interviewer. So ayun ay interviewer error. So, inadequate attention to the selection of interviewers. So, there's too high a workload for interviewer. Kawawa naman kapag mataas yung workload ng interviewer. Kasi nga, makakommit talaga siya ng errors. So, eto naman, last one is the data handling errors. Meron ka ng data. So, paano ka nga nakakommit ng error kapag meron ka ng data? So data handling errors can occur from the stage of data collection up to the final stages of data analysis. Type of errors that can arise include errors in transmission of data from the field to the office. Sa transmission pala ng data, may mali na from field to office, data handling errors na yon. Errors in preparing the data in a suitable format for computerization. During coding of qualitative answers. So, data handling errors na yon. And also, errors in computerization of the data. So, ayun ay data handling errors. And last one, errors during data analysis. Example, imputation and rating. So, ayan po yung introduction ng sampling theory. So, any question, guys? Ayan, so kindly react naman ang heart kung naintindihan naman po yung chapter 1. So we're done na sa chapter 1. So basic concepts in sampling. Okay. So actually na-send ko naman na yung PowerPoint presentation nito, di ba? Doon sa ating group chat. Siguro i-bump ko na lang. Okay. So, since tapos na tayo sa ating chapter 1, so magsisend ako ng Google form for your quiz, no? Gagawin ko pa lang naman. But don't worry sa submission or sa deadline. It will be adjusted naman. Okay, so may question po ba or clarification? So kung wala na pong tanong, again, thank you for joining the class. So I hope na may natutunan kayo sa chapter 1. Kasi gamit na gamit talaga yan when you are conducting a survey or let's say, kung gusto nyo maging statistician someday, pwede nyo kasi yung gamiting mga concepts na yan kapag gumagawa na tayo sa survey operations. Okay, so kung wala na pong tanong, you may leave na po. Thank you, bye.